Hi, I'm Dean Horn with Softing, and I'm going to give you a short how-to on how to configure a cable project, cable labels, and cable tests with the NetXpert XG. For cable test projects, we're going to use two icons on the home screen mostly. We'll be using the cable test icon and the file manager. So let's have a look at the cable testing icon first. So we're going to be looking at the projects and reports. We're going to set up a cable type. We'll set up our cable labeling, and then finally we'll be running a cable test. All right, so let's take a look at the projects and report settings first. You can see that we have 3 projects in the list. Only one project is loaded. Which project is loaded? That's what this is telling us on the right-hand side here. The Knoxville Center Mall project is loaded. If you want to select a different project, select the project and then click Load Project. And you can see that our customer name updated and the site updated. Let's say we want to create a new project. So we'll click on New Project. We'll give the project a file name. This will be Stadium Project. All right, so Stadium, I'm going to save that. Okay, you can see that it's added Stadium Project to the list. You can see that it's listed at the top as Stadium is our new project. And the customer in this case is DR Construction. All right. The site will be the stadium on the North River site. So we'll just call it North. All right. And we'll click Save Project. All right. So stadium is loaded, customer is DR Construction, and the site is the North site. Now let's select the cable type. So on the left, you'll see a list of default cable types that come preloaded with the NetXpert XG. So since we're going to test a Cat 6A unshielded cable, there is already one here in the list. So I'm just going to select it and then set that as the current type. All right, now we need to define our cable labels. So I'm going to click Cable Labels. Okay, on the left-hand side, you'll see a list of cables. We haven't defined any yet, so that list is empty. And on the right-hand side is where we're going to define the cable label. All right, so you can still see that Project Stadium is listed here. So let's say in this case, we want to name the cables. It's all in the same building, on the same floor, in the same room, but maybe we have a couple of racks and a couple of panels. We can change the name of the cable, just showing you that we can change that. I'll just shorten it to cable, CBL. And then on the cable label, I want to include that name. So I clicked name, which turns this box green, which you can see up here in the label. That's now included as part of the label. So now I want a separator after CBL. So I'm going to click separator, and you can see it put a dash. And now I want to give it, I'll say rack 1. Okay. Now I'll click on rack, turn that green, and you can see that that was added to the label. Now I want another separator. You can see the dash was added. And now I want to add a panel 1. So I'll just say PN1. Okay. All right. And then the ID will always be included, so that will be like cable 1, 2, 3. And let's create 3 cables for this example. All right. So now when I say add cables, you can see that it created the 3 cables to be tested. So this is now our cable test list. All right. So now let's go to cable test. And you can see that the 3 cables are here. You can see that we're still on Project Stadium, and you can see that we're testing Cat 6A unshielded twisted pair cables. All right, now we are ready to connect the NetXpert XG to our cable and run a test. All right, so let me grab my cable, and we'll connect one end to the main unit, and we'll connect the other end of the cable to the remote unit. Okay. And then we'll hit test. All right, and you can see that this test passed. It gives us a wire map of the cable, and you can see that it looked for the shield, but there was no shield found. It tells us the length of the cable. It tells us that the wire map status is okay. So if there was anything like an open or a short, it would tell you in the status column that it was an open or short, and then it would tell you the distance to that open or short. It gives us the delay skew and the signal to noise ratio margin, and since we have the green check, all of those parameters passed for a 1 gigabit per second test. Also, the BERT was done, so the bit error rate test was done at 1 gigabit per second. The bits were sent down the cable. They were read at the remote end of the remote end of the cable, and counted, and there was 0 errors on this cable. So this cable passed, and this will be stored on the NetXpert XG and added as part of the summary report that we'll show you how to print out in just a minute. So if I hit test again, it'll automatically go to the next test and start testing. So if you have 10, 50 cables, 100 cables that need to be tested, just disconnect the cable you just tested, plug in the new cable, hit test, it's automatically going to go to the next cable and start the test. All right, so test number 2 passed. And then finally, if you need to set reference, that's the icon at the bottom there, and there's 2 methods for set reference, depending on the type of test that you're going to do. If you're going to use a cable to plug into a jack for your test, but you don't want to test the cable, then leave the cable plugged into the local unit and hit set reference. If you're just going to test a cable like we've done, then when you do a set reference, don't have anything connected to the NetXpert XG and do a set reference that way. So now let me show you how to pull off the cable test report from the NetXpert XG. So we'll go back here to the home screen, we'll click File Manager, and so download to USB is grayed out. So that means that my USB is not connected, so let me connect my USB. So I'm going to use the dongle, and you can see that it read the USB on the right hand side and detected it. So I'm going to select my Stadium project, and I'm going to download it to the USB, and I'll call it Stadium, which is fine. Copy. So it's copying the file to the USB, and now you can see it in the list on the USB. If you have a topic that you'd like for us to cover on the NetXpert XG, then put your suggestions in the comments below.